So really quick, whenever there is a lot of geoengineering, there will also be a lot of social engineering. These two things are connected, as above, so below. Whenever the biosphere, the noosphere, is experiencing weather changes, this is reflected in our emotional body as well. So during this time, some of us will be going through tornadoes, some of us will be going through Arctic blasts, and this weather advisory that we're getting all across the nation. With this, we may see an influx of mood instability, sadness, melancholy, grief, rage, anger, flatness, numbness, just feeling a sense of dread and despair, especially for those of us that are highly empathic. So, with that being said, I want to share with you all what is coming to my heart to share, which is this. For those of us who are in relationships with men that maybe we're noticing areas where they are not emotionally grounded. We could call this emotional intelligence. And this is not a judgment towards them, but this is a mass social engineering programming that has occurred and has been done to them. We can get into the whistleblower about the vaccines and how over 30% of the people receiving them were having developmental issues on a neurological level. That's another conversation that's on another platform on my Patreon. However, with that being said, we have been victimized in many different forms, and the pollution that has affected us is actually showing up as toxicity in the way that we manage our emotions, in the way that we show up with each other and ourselves. So we may see more emotional instability during times where we're having weather advisories. And I want to say this because my specialty is finding the beauty in the things that are difficult in life. And this is the beauty. Men on a collective level are going through what some call an ego death, but I call it an ego TKO. It's just a total nap out, right? It's just a little nap that the ego is having to take, which means a lot of men are experiencing this sense of losing their identity, and maybe they don't feel as important as they once felt. Maybe they don't really know where they fit in. Maybe they feel like they're not being heard. When it's difficult for you to express your emotions in a healthy way, then people will shut down and not hear you and not see you and avoid you. So a lot of men are feeling the pain of these things, but they don't really know what to do to fix it. The bright side of this is the collective of humanity. For those of us awakening, we're becoming our divine version of ourselves. I call that the I divinity. Some call this the higher self. Some call this the Shin. Some call this the Ori. So in many different spiritual traditions, there's different names, but ultimately this is the version of us that has already went through these processes of evolution that exists outside of linear time. Time is just a construct that's used for us to measure our evolution, but it's actually spiral. It's not linear. So, with that being said, we're going to see men go through these ego like deaths and these dark nights of the soul. This is what they may be experiencing. And as women are learning that we have been programmed to be codependent, people pleasers, doormats, cater to your man, take care of your man. This has been programmed in us so much where we didn't really know how to take care of ourselves. So it's not so much about how much money women are making now. We're beyond that. It's now about the amount of care and love that women are giving to themselves. And so men may start to feel like, I don't know where I fit in. I don't know if I'm important anymore. And that is a blow to the ego. It's intentional. As the age of Kali Yuga is winding down and we're coming out of this ignorance, this very Kali-like energy is destroying what separates us and what makes it difficult for us to be vulnerable, to trust one another, to be accountable for our actions and the way we participate in the illusions the trauma reenactments that we perpetuate. So, men are discovering these parts of themselves. When a man is becoming his God self, when he's receiving situations that are activating his God self, these are like the gates, right? And in human design that are opening up these channels for them to experience this higher potential version of themselves. When that's happening, just visualize somebody walking through fire, but they can't leave. There aren't any shoes. It's nowhere for them to run to. This is what it feels like in the emotional body of a lot of men. And so they're trying to soothe this in the old way, which is the old earth way, which is the old fashioned traditional way of soothing ourselves, right? Every movie, you grab a drink, you throw a shot back, you go and get something to drink, you find somebody to have sex with, you find something to eat, you eat a whole bunch of ice cream. Like a lot of these things were like really lower three chakra ways of coping. And we're ascending into the higher chakras and learning how to soothe ourselves in these higher dimensional ways. And so the old ways don't work anymore. So that's another layer of grief. That's another layer of discontentment. That's another layer of not feeling satisfied with life. And it's just like the stuff that used to make me feel better don't even make me feel better anymore. And that can be really frustrating. And a lot of men chronologically are much older than they are emotionally. Again, this is not a judgment. I'm just making observations over the years of working with clients and having my own experiences as a twin flame in a soulmate alchemical relationship. So you got to let him die. You cannot save him. Don't try to fix everything. Don't try to make him comfortable. Outside of the comfort zone is where we grow. So for a lot of us women, we just need to step back and let them go through their process. If men have been going through life repressing anger, repressing rage, not allowing themselves to feel, not really knowing how, they're going to have to go through the initiation and to enter into manhood, which is ultimately godhood. So this was the reason that the 3D matrix social constructs, the toxic culture, kept them in an infantile state of being, because once you learn how to manage your emotions in a healthy way and you integrate with these fragmented parts of yourself hidden within the shadows, you become a god. You become a creator of a reality who can have deliberate intention, direction, and with passion create life, create sacred space, become a healthy container for the people that are in their lives. This is what they're on their way to. So I know it's a lot of talk right now about relationships, and it just seems like men, really struggle emotionally, and there's no connection, no vulnerability. What's going on? Well, they've been disconnected from the feminine part of themselves. And if they don't know how to be tender with themselves, they're not going to be able to be tender with you when they feel like they're walking through fire, invisible fire. So, step back, have compassion, love from a distance, be detached, be less triggered by things that they do, reduce your expectations, and I'm not saying reduce your standards, have boundaries around what you feel you deserve, but reduce the expectations. That's for all of us. Social media and all of this stuff got us with expectations that exceed the capacity for the people we're in relationships with to meet. So as we are learning how to level out, we're learning how to listen to the heart, balance the heart with the mind, not use the ego to feel safe. And as we're going through this, they will enter into godhood the same way a lot of women are going through initiations and becoming goddesses. That's my specialty. That's what I prefer to direct my conversations to get these dialogues started. But if you know somebody who would appreciate this information, share this video. I'm not easy to find. I wonder why, but I really do think that the advice that I give is top tier. I would love for somebody, to enlighten me into what you think. Maybe you disagree with what I'm saying, but I think we are about to see a lot of men enter into a tough time so that they can become the best version of themselves. And this winter storm and all of this is happening. This is a moment where they could actually shine and step up and become that better version. Step back, trust the process, let them go through the difficulties because they are emotionally growing up into gods.